broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching The Moore Show and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. Now for the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Lisa Kay. Now Lisa will discuss how to learn and develop and fine-tune your intuition. Lisa Kay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on. I'm sorry there's been absolutely no introduction there at the beginning of this show. I've just got no time right now. I'm just about to head out to the US and all my time is going to that. So I knew I had you booked on today and I was,
No worries.
Let's get you to introduce yourself. Go on. If you can do that.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm Lisa Kay, and I am an expert on intuition. I just wrote a book called Intuition on Demand, a step-by-step guide to powerful intuition you can trust. And it was sort of all developed from my putting together science and metaphysics and experience and coming up with a technique that apparently works amazingly well, not just for me who started out not intuitive, to becoming basically it saved my life. And so here I am, and I started teaching this to people, and people really responded well. It worked for them as well, and just really incredible experiences, and I'm really excited. So I'm glad to share it with you and your audience out there.
Okay, absolutely. So intuition on demand. So what are you saying? Are you saying to get in tune with what feels right in any given moment?
Actually, it's more than that. It's being able, when you see people who are super intuitive, or what some people would call psychic, which I believe is a spectrum of all the same thing, being intuitive, get really good at it, you become what people term as psychic. There are ways that you can actually build your intuition to make it useful for yourself, so that it's more than just a gut feeling. You're actually getting real information, so that it can help guide you and it can help get answers to questions that you have. And so it's and I always wanted to know how that worked. And so what I did, I started out as when I was very young. I was not one of those, children who was really psychic or intuitive. In fact, I thought it was the coolest thing. I wanted to learn about it. And what I did was I would actually play with Zener cards, the ESP cards. You know what those are?
No.
It's a deck of cards that has. I have a deck here. I could show. But the cards have different pictures on them. They have like a circle and a square and a star, and it's like a deck of cards. And you have to shuffle them up and then try to predict what picture was going to come up when you flip them over. So I tried that and shuffled them up as an 8-year-old kid, and I tried it and I got them all wrong. So at that point, I decided I was not intuitive, but I was always fascinated by it, always so interested. And I'm very interested in how the world works and why we're here. And so what I ended up doing was I studied science, because science explains so many things, and I wanted to know how the mind worked. So I studied psychobiology, which is the biological side of psychology, how the mind, what goes on in the mind, and got a degree in that. Went on and got a degree in electrical engineering because I was interested again in physics and so on, and engineering, and went to Columbia University. Got a degree there and started working in that field in the world of technology. And at some point, all along, I've always had this interest in going back and figuring out more. And science only went so far. It didn't explain everything, the transcendence. How do people know not to get on that plane? How do they know that their loved one's in trouble and they call them up or they go see them in the nick of time because they had that urge? And I figured, hey, I'm going to go study this. And being the open-minded person and the scientist that I was, I said, I'm going to go and figure it out, try to be objective, try to do an empirical sort of scientific process and see what's really working for me and if I can do it. And so I went and I studied metaphysics, and which I got a PhD in it, and with a focus on intuition, and which was fascinating about how there are a lot of parallels between energy, metaphysical energy, and how that works in the body, and intuition, and and one of the things, along with that, studying with a lot of teachers and studying the books and scientific journals on intuition and psychic phenomena, I found there really wasn't a lot of tangible explanation on how to make your intuition work. So I had to kind of put it all together. So I studied people who were amazing intuitives and psychic mediums, and I went out and I did it myself. I didn't mean to do it myself. I didn't mean to become an intuitive reader, but I did. And because that's kind of the best way to really learn and to develop your skills and also make it happen. And I became a sold out intuitive reader, which really surprised me. And then one day my intuition saved my life. And that was when that shocked me. And that my intuition was able to go that far. And so I could share the story with you if you'd like.
So when you say you're in, okay, so what are you communicating with when you're developing your intuition? Because obviously you're
That's a
teaching this.
great question. Yes. So the definition of intuition is knowing without knowing how you know it. And so there's information that we are getting. We're not really quite sure where it is. And I like to believe that they say you're only using 10% of your brain. So what's going on in the other 90%, right? So there's a lot of information that I think we may have stored there that we're picking up. Now the question is, where are we picking it up from? That's really the key. Are we picking it up from stored memories? And I think through the studies of science and psychic phenomenon, no, there's no way that we could have experienced those things. And I believe, through the connection of energy being everything and metaphysical sciences, that we are picking up information from outside of us. Now, it can be from, say, you want to call it universal consciousness, what people deem as spirit guides or angels. I believe that that's where that information can and does come from. And we have ways of accessing that, and we use our intuition to do that.
And how do you access it?
Well, okay, so let's go back a little bit. So the way we access it is,
Well, no,
first of all,
what I mean is, how do you access it?
how do I access it? So one of the things you have to understand is what the characteristics are of intuition. And because we are intuitive beings, that it's there for all of us. It's just that we haven't learned how to work with it or recognize it. And then once you do recognize it, then you learn how to work with it. And I'll go over that in a minute. So the first thing is the characteristics of intuitive messages. They're short and they're fleeting. They work in symbols and in imagery. They don't have a lot of words. And they're not. It's more of a abstract understanding. Now, what's very interesting about this is that these are all characteristics of how the right side of your brain processes information. And so that's why we call the right side of our brain. This is where I believe the intuitive mind is. And so if we can recognize what's going on in the intuitive side of our brain, then we can start to get that intuitive information.
And how are you accessing it?
Okay, so the way you do it is so the technique that I've developed is the way to make it happen on demand is you ask it a question, because your intuitive mind and your thinking mind will always respond. So when your intuitive mind responds, you have to be open for the information that's coming to you. and that's within you. So it's oftentimes it's in your mind. So you may see an image inside your mind that's coming from the intuitive side of your brain, or you might hear a word or a phrase, very short, again, or see an image, and then you have to gather those pieces and symbols and collect them, because oftentimes it'll come as a piece, and that's part of the characteristic of intuition. It comes in little pieces, and you have to collect enough of them to make sense. So the technique goes is that you ask your intuition a question, and then you'll get a pop-up piece, and then you can ask your intuition again, what does that piece mean? And you'll get another one. And as you do this over and over again, you're going to get more and more pieces. So I can give you an example.
Well, let's try to speak to your intuition now then. Yeah.
And
if I was to ask you a question, let's see if we can speak to your intuition, because obviously you've developed your intuition. You're now teaching this, so let's use you as a guinea pig. Okay.
Maybe we could use you as a guinea pig.
Well, maybe you could
see if we can get you.
but with yourself, so you're not going to
yes.
name. So there's no name on this intuition. He, she, it, her, whatever you might want to term it as. And for some people, that may seem confusing. So maybe we'll call it. Should we name it as your higher self?
You can, yes. I believe it. You could call it your higher self. Some people, connect to their angels and get a message for one's highest good.
Yeah, yeah. So could you say that maybe you're connecting back to your soul, or an aspect of your soul when you're doing this intuitive work?
I believe so. I believe that's one place where you're getting information, your higher self. And, everything is connected. So it could be one aspect. That could be certainly one aspect. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Everything is connected. Yeah. So
it could be people who've passed, spirit.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, if I was to ask you intuitively, and just go with what comes to you. I mean, now, previously when you came on my show, I mean, I don't remember yourself, so I'm not being rude.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember much now.
That's fine. It's all right.
Yeah. But I don't think, from what you've said, that there was any internal, there was no sort of intuitive skills that you had at the time that you were aware of.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. When I was young. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I'm talking about when you last came on the show. Was there intuitive skills then? I mean, I don't know when you was last on. I'm guessing it was a few years ago.
Yes. Certainly, absolutely. And what we had, that was one of the things we had discussed, was developing your intuition. And at that point, the work that I had done up to that point was teaching other people how to develop their intuition. And since I've been on your show, I wrote the book, and the book is basically, in one place where a lot of the techniques and where the background and the understanding of how this works, and like sort of the developmental flow, what people go through when they develop their intuition. That's what's there in the book, and that's since we last talked. Right.
Yeah, what would be something interesting to ask you in regards to that, if I could get you to tune in?
It might be easier to give you some examples.
Of what? Of what? How to? Or
no, of things that have happened with my developing my intuition, and as I was using the technique and how it worked, and that's kind of where I was going.
Sure, you can talk about the technique. I want to get you tuned in though in a bit. But talk about what is the technique? What's the technique that you've developed that others are using now?
So the technique is the Intuition on Demand technique, and it's got 5 steps, and it's basically A, B, C, D, P. So A is to ask your intuition a question. Most people don't realize that you can ask your intuition a question; it will respond. They think that they just have to wait for some information to appear, and then it never does. So you can ask a question, you can ask anything you want. Then B is to be open. And what does it mean to be open? It means to is is to be relaxed, and also what I tell people, it's the same state you're in when you ask another person, where's the bathroom? So if you're in a place that you've never been before and you need to go to the bathroom, you ask them, where's the bathroom? And then you stop and you're all ears and you're waiting for the answer. You're not judging what they're going to say. You're not anticipating what they're going to say. You're just open. And when they do give you an answer, you go with that. And that's the state you need to be in when you ask your intuition a question. And that's a key thing, because a lot of people don't, that's where they trip up, because then they start guessing an answer or making it up or trying to anticipate an answer. So you just have to be open. Whatever you get, and you don't get upset. So that's B. And then C is you have to collect the intuitive pop-up that comes up. And now your intuition will respond with usually it's an image. It might be an image in your mind, a picture. It might be a word. It might be a feeling. It might be a sound. And that can be, most of the time it's inside you. It's inside your mind. Sometimes it might be outside where you're drawn to look at something. And so that's C. So then you'll get a piece. And then D is to do it again, to ask another question about that piece, because oftentimes that one little piece doesn't make sense to us. See, our intuitive mind is talking to us in its language, and the language is pieces of images, of symbols, of a word, or maybe a brief thought or an abstract thought. And so you have to gather enough of those pieces, and you can keep asking it, well, show me more information, more pieces, and it will. And then eventually it will form a message that makes sense to you. So I'll give you an example where I was doing an intuitive reading for a woman, and she didn't tell me anything about herself. And so I asked my intuition, tell me about this woman. What is it that she needs to know? And my eye was drawn to a picture that I had, and on the picture it was mostly green. And I knew my symbol for green intuitively means healing. And so I knew that had something to do. So I said, all right. And I went and I asked my intuition, okay, what about this green? Why are you showing me green? And then the answer was, drew my eye to another piece of the picture, which was a stone bench. And the stone bench, it just had a top and two legs to it. And I was, okay, why are you showing me this bench? I'm asking my intuition, why are you showing me the stone bench? My intuition responded with, it's a desk. And I said, okay, so desk and healing, what does this have to do with a woman? Why are you showing this to me? And they said the desk represents the mind. And so I said, oh, so it's the mind and it's the healing. So I told her, I said, I'm getting that you are going to be a healer, but you're not healing the body, you're healing the mind. And then she told me, well, that's right, I'm studying to be a clinical psychologist. So that's how the information comes, and that's how you access it. You have to using your thinking mind, asking your intuitive mind questions, and it will respond with pieces that you collect, and they will eventually form an answer that makes sense. And that's the technique that brings people information that really works. And so it's a very simple technique, and it works. It's pretty consistent. So that's basically how we do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just do a little experiment then, just seeing as none of this is planned. It's pretty unscripted. So okay, now I'll ask you a question then, and I'm going to direct this question to your intuition, and that's just the name we're giving for whatever this phenomena is right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if I was to ask your intuition, is it able to tell me right now, if I was able to speak to your intuition, is it, if I say, who am I talking to? Yeah. Would it
Mm-hmm. It'll come back with an answer. Yes, it
So,
always does. So if you
okay
ask
then,
you asking me to ask my
well,
intuition, who are you
yeah,
talking to?
well, yeah. It's almost like, let me say to you, am I okay? Am I freely able to access Lisa's intuition right now? Do I have permission to do that?
Yes.
And has Lisa always used this intuitive part of herself?
So I'm getting a yes, but and the word unaware.
Oh, she's been unaware of it. She's been unaware that it was there. And speaking to the intuitive part of Lisa right now, are most of us unaware that we have this ability?
Yes.
Okay. And what would this, and now Lisa, you're going to come in here, but also the intuitive part as well. But what is
Yeah.
the greatest gift that the intuitive part can give us by accessing?
Uh, it's guidance.
Guidance.
Yeah, guidance. Um, guidance that I also got, to what you desire. So those are the two things. Guidance for what you desire. And free will. I see you have free will.
And free will, and free will. I know this is
Yeah.
quite odd what we're doing here right now, but just bear with
It
me. But
is.
yeah, it
But
is.
it's okay.
Yeah,
It's working.
yeah. Speaking to Lisa's intuitive side right now,
Mhm.
is there any name that comes to mind, or any does it would it like to come through with a name, or anything like that?
Well, let's see. Um, so it's giving me an abstract idea. And the abstract idea is more that so is that it's sort of a feeling and that and I can kind of put words to it is that the names are for you.
Yes, yes. The names are for us. Have you known Lisa by a different name before?
Many names.
Many names. That's interesting. And is Lisa's work going to expand in the future from what she's doing now?
What I received was yes.
Yes.
It depends on her choice, uh, where she wants to go and who she touches.
Who she touches, right? Okay,
Hmm.
okay. And yeah, okay, okay. Bear with me because this is interesting, right? Because
Hmm.
you're showing people what they're capable of here. You're teaching it, and now you're showing people what they're capable
Hmm.
of.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, what? Oh God, there's so many questions I could ask you. Bear with me, because yeah,
Sure. Go ahead.
yeah. Does Lisa have access to knowledge that she's never considered before?
Yes, but she has to stop thinking so much.
Right, right. And again, this is an example, isn't it, that we all have this access to knowledge if we stop thinking so much.
Yes.
Yeah. D-
It was almost yes with a big smile
yeah,
too.
yeah, 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 yeah. Is it true as well to say that if most of us could just access our intuitive part this way, that only love would come from the answers that are coming through in this way?
Always.
Always, for all of us, yeah. And if there's a question that we have that's very deep and personal, only the truth would come out.
Wow. The truth is subjective. That's what I heard.
The truth is subjective. Yeah, yeah. But if so, if something wasn't for our highest good, using this method that Lisa's using, we would get a truth that's right for us.
Yes. Hmm.
That's good.
That was like a definite yes.
That's good. See, there you go.
Very
It's
definite.
it's never lying to us. This part of us. Um,
Mm.
um, there must be many past lives that Lisa's had to be doing this work. Is there one particular past life that she's had that really affects this life right now?
Oh, okay. Well, that brought up an interesting image. Um, so I have to describe to you because I can't
Yeah,
convey an image.
absolutely. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, so there's a very influential past life it's a feeling of influence. It's a feeling of as answering your question of being quite strong, influentially is that's a word, high influence, and it's a very strong maternal feel, mothering feel, where in a past life I was a mother, but it was more. Now I have to go back. Okay, so I'll tell you what's going on, what's coming up in my mind. I had a picture in my mind and a feeling. And so the picture is, and it's not clear, and that's one of the things that we have to accept as intuition. Not all the pictures are in super high definition, really, really clear. So, and it's of a woman, and she's dressed in white. She has kind of like I want to say, I don't know what they're called, um, a a headdress
Yeah,
on, but it's somewhat European, I assume, or it could be a covering, a head covering, but
yeah.
it's white. I get the sense that it's not like Middle Eastern or Asian, that it's much more Western feel, and the white cowling. It's like I guess a cowling that's quite long. And I have to go back to the image and remember it because that brings it back
Yeah,
intuitively.
yeah.
A very strong feeling of mothering and worrying about it. Not worrying, it's not worrying. It's a very strong sense of maternal, uh, taking care of others.
Right.
And so I'll go back and I'll go back and when I do reading, when intuitively, and
Yeah,
you can do this for yourself,
yeah.
seeing what else is there, and I can go back and ask, and I am asking. I'm not showing you that I'm asking, but I'm asking. So tell me more about her. Why are you showing me her? What is she maternal for?
Yeah.
Young people, children, and young women. That's interesting.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then I get a feeling. See, I get feelings, and the feeling is of love, and the feeling of wanting to help these people, whether they're children or whether they're young women, do better in their lives. It's not just that they have problems, but to help them grow into
Mm-hmm.
bigger, better people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's come out into this life is helping others.
Helping
Uh,
others. Right.
well, that's interesting.
That's interesting. So
Yeah,
that was just a fragment there of a particular life
yeah.
that's supporting this life, or is a reason
But
why.
that was what, yes, and I'll go back, and that was key. You see, your question was about what's influencing me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What was, why in this life? What was
Mm-hmm.
important in this life that was connected to a past life?
Yeah.
And it was that it's continuing on, and then the struggle of how
Okay.
to do that with people. Yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
Time to go deep now. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-oh.
how many how many times in this lifetime has Lisa had a walk-in?
Oh, well, that's interesting. How many times in this
In
lifetime?
this lifetime has Lisa had a
It's
walk-in?
interesting. The first thing that came was that that she's protected.
So, okay, in her lifetime then, is there not meant to be another? Is there going to be another version of Lisa that's going to come in as a walk-in to Lisa? That's going to
Another version.
that's going to
Okay.
take her on her next part of her journey.
Ah, good question. Let's see what the answer is. Okay, so what I see is a well, an evolution or morphing. It's more of a morphing from where I am today to the next step, which is really drawing more on, I guess, higher self and flow, the vortex, you know, being being more authentic, which is really more that connection to a higher self and to I want to say more of a divine consciousness energy
Yes,
to help be authentic. Yeah.
that's beautiful. And this is a walk-in or morphing that will happen in a potential future.
I saw it in the future, yes.
Yeah.
I saw it
Okay.
next.
And this is, yeah, Lisa 2.0 in a
Yeah, I
way.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. This is where you're
I
going
like
ahead in, but you don't feel you've had a walk in. There's been an upgrade to yourself before. You don't feel that. You felt the protected.
Okay, let me go ask and see. Yeah, no.
No, but there is going to
Mm.
be one. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's about allowing it,
Yeah.
allowing that transition.
Is there other Lisas in parallel universes?
Oh, I got a yes to that.
Is the figure unnameable?
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I am seeing a representation of what would be our concept of parallel or my concept of parallel universes. And then when I so that's what I'm presented in my intuition. And then I go back in my mind again. I'm not, I have to verbalize this for you.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so why am I seeing it that way? So I almost see, I'm actually looking at a picture of myself on my computer. It's like a little snapshot. So
Mm-hmm.
my eye was drawn to that. And then
Mm.
I saw replications of that
Mm-hmm.
representing multiple
Mm-hmm.
universes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the one that I'm in now was very clear. And then when I said, well, let me see what the others are, they were fuzzy. So they weren't clear.
That's interesting.
So that's kind of the answer to your question that they are now. Okay, so then I can ask, well, why is that? Is that because they're not formed, or or I can't access them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I got was that some of them are not formed, and others I'm not accessing them.
Not accessing. Okay.
Yeah.
How many times has Lisa jumped to different parallel dimensions? Should I ask, has Lisa jumped to other parallel dimensions? Is this, as we increase reason for asking this, Lisa, is one thing I found out doing the channeling documentary is that we are not
Yeah.
just staying in this reality. Has Lisa gone
Yeah.
to other realities, other Earths, to other dimensions?
Oh, okay. All right, let's ask. So the abstract concept that I'm getting is that it's not see, it's very hard for us to understand
I
in
know these
in
questions
this
aren't easy.
world.
Right?
That because we're linear, right? And
Yes, yes, yes.
so the process of parallel universes is not linear. And so it's like we can be everywhere at once. There's no time, there's no space,
Yes.
and it's hard to fathom that or even to describe it. Um, so they're showing me that yes, the answer to your question is yes, but it's not explainable easily, and that things they go out as in parallel, and they come back together,
Yes.
and they go out, and so other things that are happening in other universes are quote other universes are affecting what's here, and it's almost as if the feeling in the senses is almost as if it's all happening at once.
It's
Um,
interesting.
that's kind of
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's hard.
No, that's cool. That's cool. No, no, no. This is cool. This is cool. Okay, that's amazing. That that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. What you're doing right now. Um, is this a form of channeling that Lisa's doing right now?
Yeah, so I got yes in a word, and then I got in your word. So,
In my word,
um,
yes. In
yeah,
my
in
truth.
your word.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so,
That's
um,
interesting.
so hang on. What, I feel like channeling is I don't want to use the wrong words, but it's a way for us to categorize things, to kind of,
Yeah.
but it's sort of the form. It's
It's a form.
the problem with word, because we put a label on it.
Of course.
We
Yeah.
we label things,
Yeah.
and we'd like to see things. Oh, well, that's channeling, and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
intuitive
Yeah.
access, and
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
psychic medium stuff, and it's kind of all the same.
It is all the same. Even intuitive, well, maybe I should use the word. She's intuitively channeling because this is she's using it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I understand, in my here with
Yeah.
you, but the message I'm getting is
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the message. I
Okay.
understand that it's what it is. And I
Absolutely.
agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It is
No.
very much
No.
channeling is all yeah, I think we all have the ability to do it. And
Of course. No.
this
No.
is the way. This is one way to do it.
Absolutely. And this is a great demonstration of what's possible.
It
Um,
it is. Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of gone a bit deeper than I thought it was going to go. Um,
Yeah.
well. Hmm. Is this almost like some sort of computer program that we're living in?
All right, hang on. I have to get out of my thinking mind, so um
I've just got to say, I use the programming as an analogy. It's not the right word for it, but it's almost like
yeah.
this isn't what we think it is.
Oh, I see. Hmm. I'm getting a lot of things. It might be also that the question isn't you know
Yeah.
targeted. Um, I also got it's not the Matrix, but it's way more than that.
Right. There
Way
you
more,
go.
way
Yeah.
more. Is it a program? Uh, So let me ask you to clarify the question.
Sure.
What you're
Sure.
asking is, so when you say computer program, are
Well,
you asking that this is all pre-prescribed?
that there's someone that's. It's almost like I want to say there's someone that's in charge, but
Mm,
okay, let's change the question because it's not an easy
hmm
question that, and I'm not too sure what I mean by that, except that it's something that came through the other day in one of the
hmm
interviews I did for the documentary. Let's change it. Is
hmm
is there a God aspect in this communication right now? Is there a God in in our
Okay.
understand this understanding of our work?
No, God is in everything. That's what I heard.
God is in everything. God is in everything. Am I speaking to an aspect of God?
Well, okay. So let me see what else. I want to just. I sometimes I pose the question again or in different ways, just to get more clarity, because sometimes the answer that comes
Mm,
back is
mm,
is uh,
mm, mm.
is not um, may not be going where where we I
Sure,
don't I'm
sure.
not well. Let me just try this again. Is there so your question is there a God aspect in what we are
What we're doing right now,
doing,
what we're communicating with.
okay. Oh, I heard it again. Okay, so I'll go with it. It's a part of God, but it is not God.
Right. 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 As in the same as we said a few minutes ago. Everything that yeah, everything is God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, uh, i- what is the most? Is there a really important message for Lisa that that she needs to hear right now as well?
Well, all is love,
Hmm.
and she
Mm.
is loved.
That's
Oh,
nice.
nice. I like that.
That's nice. That's very nice. That's
Oh, I
very
could use
nice.
that. That's nice.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's nice. And well, I'll just say then, thank you to you just demonstrating that, um, that as much as you teach it,
Yeah.
you can do it yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was an interesting exercise. I like that. In that it was interesting to do it, for in front of other people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
for
But
myself. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then we was all around the houses there for 20 minutes in some of the most unusual questions, and
Yeah.
to be honest, what you said was most of the things that came through in a different way on one of the documentaries that I've just working on that of
Oh,
one of the
wow.
participants that I've just interviewed in Norway. Um,
That's fantastic. That's
yes,
amazing.
well
That's actually,
you wouldn't know that, but I'm telling you that is the truth.
well, thank
Um,
you. I would rather you tell me after too.
yes,
So so it helps me
yeah,
with a little validation there. I
yeah,
think the,
yeah,
the connection is really is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah. And I'm getting like, a little, what we call them
yeah.
angel buzzes. So those are nice. I like that.
When you talk about the parallel realities and um, all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's what keeps coming through. This, just
Wow.
I
Yeah.
know we didn't go even deep there, but I mean, just the little bits of information that were coming through there. So,
Yeah.
so
It's
that
beyond our concept, is
yeah,
beyond
yeah,
our ability to understand.
and as it said as well, it will come through with a with an answer that's the answer that you need at that time. Not a lie. There are no such things
Yeah.
as lies. But
No.
I would say 99.9, if it's for your highest good, what's going to come through is the what you need to hear. And most times it's probably
Absolutely.
what you want. It's what you need to hear.
It's what you need to hear. But that maybe not always what you want, but what you need to hear, which I think is good, and that knowing that you can gather this information for your highest good and from your higher self, or from those that consciousness that's taking care of you. It's very
Mm.
comforting, and that's why people want to develop their intuition, and that's what's done for me. It's very comforting to me. I know that I'm taken care of.
You definitely got a gift there.
Oh,
100%.
well, thank
Yeah.
you.
You've got that. You've got that. I've never done that before with
Thank
anyone.
you.
I just thought, well,
I know
seeing
that
as
was I've never either. That was
no, well,
that
not
was
like that.
interesting.
Not to someone that's
Mm.
coming on to talk about a book.
Yeah.
But yeah. But it just goes to show
It was-
that it's all there. It's all
well, that's
there.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and most definitely. And I'm not familiar with what is coming out of your documentary, obviously, because you're in the
Sure.
process of creating it.
Sure.
But I think everybody has the ability to connect to those things, and that was God given, and it's part of our biology, which really floors me. Is like, wow, there's so many parallels there, and the research that's done in science that shows the way information comes to us intuitively, which is and gives us these amazing messages,
Right.
is how a certain part of our brain actually works, and it's scientifically shown, and that's a comfort to know that
Yeah.
we're built this way, and
Yeah.
and we're meant to do this. It's not something that somebody just kind of made up, and oh, isn't that fun fantasy? And it's not.
Well, remember what it said there. It said, this is not the Matrix. It's way beyond. I'm personifying. It's way beyond any understanding that we could ever come up with.
Yeah, yeah,
So, that just goes, well, what the hell is that then? I mean,
yeah.
it didn't even want to have a name attached to it there.
No,
Um,
no.
so what is that? So I think, as you say, it's just comforting to know that it does love us, and it's an aspect of God, but it's more,
Yeah,
or it's, it's well, it's so unnameable, isn't it? We name it so many things. Like I named it channeling, that's a form of it, but it's not even that. It's more.
yes,
This is always more than that. It's the
yes,
namelessness, I-ness, whateverness of
yes,
life,
yes.
and
Yeah.
to try to work it out. Well, we get so far with it, don't we?
Yeah. I think that's, we touch on aspects of what all of it is, and that's part of our role as, why we are here. We're an expression of everything that has made us, and so we're just doing that role, and at the same time we are here for ourselves as well. When we're improving ourselves and wanting to have better lives, and that's all part of the big story too. And even though if we don't know what the big story is, that's okay. And I believe that this is why we have intuition. Why I wanted to really study it. It's not about how to get rich, or how to find out which is the shortest grocery store line. It's more about how do I get connection within, which is that's God, that's part of God, but not God, right? And really to live more fully, and really be part of
A-
that. And
And when we listen to our
what else
intuition,
is there?
well, what else is there? Yeah, well, what else is there to do on a Saturday night? But when you do listen to that intuition, you'll find that what we others, not what we, but others may class as successful people. The one thing they will say is, well, you know what? I always did listen to my gut feeling.
Yes, exactly. And
So
and
yeah,
everybody does,
everybody
oh, I knew that. How did you know
does.
that? Let's get control over it so we can do it again.
Yeah, right, right, exactly, exactly. And it just goes to show that with this ability, you can live the life that you want to live. You can.
Yes,
You
you
actually
can.
can.
You can. Life gets better, and it can. And when you're taking the steps toward just this, using your intuition, it's gonna guide you, and that's what it was. It's for guidance and to
Absolutely.
get you where you want to be.
Absolutely. So if people, obviously now people with, now they've seen this demonstration, how do they get in contact with yourself? Or how do, what's your website to further the development?
So my website is my initials, lmk88.com. And 88's is the number of money, actually, for apparently with the
Right,
Chinese, but
right.
lmk88.com. Everything is there. My book is there, so you can order it through my website. All the links are there. You can find out more about me, and actually I got a ton of stuff on how to develop your intuition for free. So go to the website. It's all there,
Absolutely.
lmk88.com.
Okay, well, that website and your book's been coming up throughout this interview. What would you say then is the most important message of your work so far?
Everybody can do this.
Good.
Everybody can develop their intuition. And that came intuitive. That just popped in there.
Well, you're still connected. That's why you're still
Yeah, it
connected.
is.
Yeah, that's your future walking aspect coming through as well. And I'm joking,
Yeah,
but it is
I
there.
think so.
It is there
I like
definitely.
that.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, listen. Thank you for bearing with me on a completely unprepared interview there. But hey ho,
That's
it went well.
okay.
Yeah, it went
It's
okay.
all meant to be. It's part of the computer program,
It
right?
is
I mean,
right,
we
right.
don't know. I go
No,
with spirit, just show
yeah.
us the way.
It definitely did that. It definitely did that. And you've got a wonderful
It's
connection there.
fun.
So
Fantastic.
listen, I'm sure our paths will cross in the future. And just Lisa Kay, just thank you so, so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. It was awesome. Lots of fun.